Okay. Okay, welcome everybody to Open Source Antibiotics meeting, Series 2, Friday, October 23rd. Hello everybody, I'm going to share screen just so we can all talk about the same thing. Let's make sure I get the right window again. Okay, so hopefully you can see the draft here. So the idea behind this meeting was to talk about the new data that we are about to get from screening a bunch of molecules, both synthesized in-house and donated from various sources via Ben Perry. And that screen is happening right now. So we don't quite have the data yet. So this meeting will be short, I think, because we're of course waiting on that. The most important thing we're waiting for is, so here are the, it's going to be quite small, isn't it? Here are the things being evaluated. And let me just try and make that bigger. I don't seem to be making that bigger. That's no good. I think I'm making everything bigger except the picture. Hang on a second. There you go. That's better. So the main thing really for this is that we are trying to see if the donated compounds, which has this fused pyridine core, are active, because a bunch of molecules are donated with that. That's a key thing. And so that's going to help answer that question, as well as a bunch of other changes that we've made. Specifically, these compounds, 821, 861, 862, with the isomers of the pyridine. We previously explored that. Well, we inherited the data at the beginning of the project that explored that isomerism. But the other part of the molecule was the dimethoxy. And so we concluded that the other isomers were inactive, but actually the inactivity was probably being driven by the dimethoxy on the benzene ring. So it's very important that we also evaluate those again, now with the benzofuran. And there are a bunch of other molecules there, and Ed's going to give a presentation about the chemistry in a second. So yeah, we're waiting on that, and until we get that, but we can't have any conclusions, unfortunately. So that is our main thing. But all the compounds are there, and it's a really nice set of compounds, which is good. Okay, and of course, as soon as we get that, we'll post it, but we just have to wait for them to come in. Eddie, do you want to just talk about some chemistry this week? Is now a good time?
Yeah, I can. So yeah, nothing really too new. So I'm just going to reuse some of the old slides. So this compound with the pyrazine, so I did the Suzuki of that yesterday. I just need to purify that. The pyrimidine, I've made the brominated core, so I need to do the Suzuki on that. And then, so this compound, which I didn't include in this batch, so I had a similar problem to what Dana had with the benzofuran with this core, where she was getting triphenylphosphine oxide that she couldn't separate out. So we've both done these couplings using the palladium chloride DPPF catalyst instead. And that seems to have gone fine as well. So I just need to purify that one. And then for Dana's stuff, yeah, so she's remade that, and that seems to have worked. And then also for the indole one, the Bock deep protection, I think she used HCl dioxane and it was a bit messy. So she's going to try and redo that with some other deep protection conditions to see if it goes a bit smoother. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this week.
Okay. Great, thanks. Okay, any questions on chemistry? I guess it's all ongoing, and we'll be much better placed to design new compounds after we've got the next data.
Yeah.
Okay, of the other things, we are, Ed, do you know the status of the talks? Because that's supposed to be happening right now as well. Is that also in play?
We've not, I think Dana said she was going to get back in touch with them. I'm guessing we could do it next week because I think they are ready to do it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, this is just this key thing about whether or not we've got cytotoxicity arising from that 2-pyridine, and so we've got all the compounds ready to go. I think about 8 compounds, right? We're gonna send in. So okay, so that's also happening as well. You know, again, that's almost as important as the potency data to make sure that we have you know, a window. Hi, Alvaro. We were just talking about compounds that were being made.
Hello.
Hi.
Sorry, I'm a little late. I'm a little bit late.
No,
I'm
don't worry.
commuting at this time. Sorry.
Yeah, no, don't worry. We were just talking about the screen that was happening.
Yeah.
Let me very briefly just show you that, because it's on one of the issues. It's linked in the agenda, but it's a bunch of compounds being evaluated right now with some of these cores that were donated through Ben Perry's Open Synthesis Network and other things. So it's quite a big screen going on right now, which will help us in the next phase. Yeah. Okay, cool. I just wanted to update you because, you know, you were one of the first people to make these compounds. The other thing also is that I think this, so it's all happening this week. I think this, in about a week, is when we're expecting to get the results back from the mechanism of action work from Lee Grazer's lab. So they've done the experiments and they're just waiting on the mass spec analysis, which I think is the expensive bit. So they're just doing it right now, which is good. Okay. And then the only other real development this week is that we sent out that email newsletter, which hopefully everyone received, and I've sort of, you know, put out there that people can just, send us a mail if they want to sign up for it. I haven't, in the past, we've been quite corporate about it and had email addresses that are based on the project itself. So we've got, you know, sort of opensourcemalaria@gmail.com and all that kind of thing. And we haven't done that with this project yet. So we haven't got a sort of corporate open source antibiotics email address. Because it's a questionable usefulness. So I've just sort of sent it from me, and future newsletters can come from anybody if we, you know, write them online together and send them out. But it means if someone wants to sign up, you know, we don't have an automated way of doing that. So we just need to sort of install people on a spreadsheet. And if we start getting 1,000 people sign up, then we're gonna have to rethink that strategy. But at the moment, I think it's quite doable. So if you know of anyone who wants to receive the newsletters or would be interested in learning more, then just pass on their email address to me or Ed or somebody.
How are we with complying with data protection with that sort of approach?
Yeah, good question. I don't know. So with collating email addresses that are, I don't know what's the hazard there? The email that the spreadsheet becomes accidentally available to others, or we have to have a policy on data retention. Is that the issue?
Well, both, I guess, really, but also the fact that you're not supposed to give other people their email addresses without their permission, and you need written permission and documented permission.
Right, that they are consenting.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, okay. And that's an EU thing, obviously, but it affects everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. I mean, I guess what we need is to make sure that someone has written that they are happy to receive it.
Yes, and the problem is that we have to keep a record of that as well.
Right. Yes. Good point. Good point. I just had a guy that I know in Boston who's very interested in the open approach. A guy called Mike Tarselli. He's interested in receiving it, and that was a message that just came through on a social media platform. And I guess I should keep a copy of that, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have to think about something. I don't know the best way of doing it. Whether you could have a actual sign-up form which captures, you know, a checkbox with permission on it or something like this.
Right. Okay. I mean, it would be very handy if that linked to the to it. Yeah. Okay. So you can sign up and put your details on a sheet and it goes straight into a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And someone has to host that. So this comes back to someone needing to make it because we don't have an open source antibiotics account. So it has to be linked to somebody. Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. That's a very good point. That would probably sort us out for GDPR. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. On the to-do list.
Another thing on the list.
Yeah, that's fine. I think everybody who's on the list, maybe there's 2 or 3 exceptions. Maybe there's 2 exceptions who haven't directly interacted with us. Yeah. But an assumption is being made, and there's a risk there. Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. I mean, there's nothing else. There's no movement on a bunch of other things. Things are in play, but nothing's been resolved yet. So there's no other substantial things that we need to go through for this meeting. Did anybody want to raise anything or ask a question about the status of anything?
I just thinking about we got these donated compounds. If we get some interesting activities, would you be interested in trying to crowdsource more analogues, because it's a type of motif many people may have in their sample collection?
Yes, right. I think that's a good point, and this is where we are kind of asking the question about whether anybody has well, actually, I don't know. It depends on what's active. We are always on the lookout for unpublished molecules that are relevant. But if we're changing to that fused compound, then it may be that we need to do a better search for things that are already published, I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've recently done a nearest chemical space type search. We did at the start, which is where, I think we identified that GSK paper as being the key resource.
Yeah.
But it would be very neat to be able to find somebody who may have something similar. Yeah.
Well, we're still waiting on the data, though. Those, for all we know, that ring system could be bad.
Yeah. No, but I think it's a good point to make that we always need to keep an eye out on nearest chemical space that's published, but also just something like making sure that we disseminate structures whenever we can. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I put a structure in the email, is because that can often trigger the imagination of someone who's reading who knows a molecule that's similar. So I think that would be incredibly valuable. And a longer term thing, of course, is trying to find a practical class that will be interested in playing around with some of the analogs. Given that we have a synthetic route.
So
now the synthetic route to the fuse system is a sort of cyanide type thing, isn't it? Which isn't that great.
Yeah. But if people want to donate compounds, can they do so easily now? I mean, now we've been through the process.
Well, sure. I mean, at the moment it's a straightforward case of sending them into the School of Pharmacy, because that's where the testing's being done.
Yeah.
At the moment, at least, that's the simple way of doing it. Yeah. At the moment that's open. So a couple of milligrams or whatever is pretty straightforward, and that's worked pretty well. The source of the molecules from via Ben Perry came in from 3 different sources. So that was pretty easy.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, as I say, I think these are motifs that you're going to find in many sample collections. So it would be, if there was a mechanism for people just to donate a few milligrams of half a dozen compounds, I think that would be quite nice to have that facility made public.
Yeah, okay. No, absolutely. I mean, I think the logistics of it are easy. The licensing is something that the SGC has done about donation of compounds. There's a sort of click-wrap trust agreement that they've got for people who want to donate molecules. At least they have for the chemical probes program, but we don't have that. But I'm pretty sure that we can take the license terms and adapt that. So it just spells out quite simply it's like an open NTA, about what people should expect. So that wouldn't be a barrier. I think it's one of those things where if you, so the chemical probes program, if you want to submit a molecule, you have to go through a web portal where there's some terms in a box, and you click the box and then you can go on. And it means you've accepted the terms. And this gets to an issue we have sometimes about the license for the project, which is generically a CC BY license, a Creative Commons license, has nothing to say about chemical samples. And so it's important that that's clarified about, what are you committing to when you give a sample in? But the terms, the last time I looked at it, which was a few weeks ago for the SGC site, it actually absolutely captures what we want for this.
Okay. Well, let's see what the results are. But if it looks encouraging, then I think that's something that we should try and implement. Yeah,
that's a good one. That's a good one. In terms of doing that search, though, I mean, trying to find people with similar molecules, that's where it gets interesting. I mean, ultimately, what you want to do is just send the chem drawer to as many chemists as you can,
Yeah.
And I don't know how to do that. We put it on Twitter and stuff, but I don't know how to reach people properly, and it's constantly an issue. This.
Well,
You know,
I guess it's something that maybe as it'd be a different project, but maybe we need a sort of open source chemicals directory, just a database of compounds that people have that people can ask for.
Yeah. Yes. This goes back to the whole Cinder thing again, doesn't it? About connecting people. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good one, and it's one of those things where I think the technical solution is not actually that difficult. It's just that someone's got to do it. Yeah. Okay. No, good. Absolutely. So yeah, that should be our first thought if we get any activity on a slightly different core, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Good. That's everything I had. So unless anyone's got anything else, we can reserve a longer meeting for next time.
Okay.
I think sounds good to me.
Yeah. Nice to see everybody. Okay.
Right.
So see you next Friday, hopefully for a big one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
for some time.
Say again, sorry?
I said hopefully our data will come soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Fanfare when it does. All right, see you guys next week.
See you then. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.